I also need one more. I'm going to separate that on purpose as long. IRO is going to be a counter. Let's get some of our locals first. P rate equals I rate divided by I freak. I parry, of course, as a civilized person, I'm going to actually copy and paste. That's one of the reasons I use the same variable names as much as possible. Now I need to calculate my P grow. That's 1 plus I grow, that's the annual growth rate, raised to the power 1 over 3 I freak. Minus 1. So it's like if I told you effective annual rate, how would you figure out the period rate from that? Similarly, instead of growth, you would use the effective annual rate. Effective annual rate is essentially total interest you pay after compounding during the year. You know, if your APR is 18, period rate is 1.5, effective annual rate is going to be 19 something, for example. We can even write a function for that. At this point, I don't need it, but we can. All right, let's initialize some stuff. PV grow annuity equals 0. Because I'm going to keep adding stuff to that. And let's do one more local variable, dim pcache as double. In this routine, iCache is the first payment. Okay, so we need to figure out what subsequent payments are, and let's start pcache with iCache. All right, now we're going to loop. I don't have to separately store payments for all periods. All I need to know is the payment the period before. So we're going to loop using the for next loop for IRO equals 1 to iParry. No, yeah, iParry. Okay. I always write this one first. So the code that I'm going to write inside that block is going to be repeated iParry times. Let's say I time is 10, iFreak is 12, iParry is going to be 120, right? So I'm going to repeat that 120 times. But every time I'm going to use new value for IRO. I'm going to start with 1. In the first pass, 1 is going to be used. In the second pass, 2 is going to be used. 3, so on and so forth. I always like separating the code like that with a tab. Let's get our Pcache first. Actually, at this point, I know what my Pcache is because I already set it up. So PV grow annuity equals PV grow annuity plus PV1 present value of 1 cash flow. My iCache is Pcache. I already have the period rate, so I'm going to do P rate. My iFreak is 1, okay? And iTime is IRO. Remember, at this point, I'm doing it for each period. That's why I'm using 1 as period and I'm using the period rate. So if I freak is 12, the first time around, this IRO is going to be 1. P rate is going to be the monthly rate. Let's say APR is 6%, P rate is going to be 0.5%. So I'm calculating present value of, let's say, $100 that I'm going to receive in 1 month using 0.5% as the discount rate. That's it. And this thing is, this equality is not, you don't think of that as an equation. Okay. If you think of that as an equation, the only solution for that is PV greater than U2 to be 0. That equals is an assignment operator. It basically says go find the current value of PV greater than U2. Grab that, calculate that thing from that function, add them up. So take the value of the right hand side, put it, go to the memory, find where PV greater than U2 lives. It has a place called value of that. Put the value in there. That's what that means. This way, I don't have to store anything. Okay. All I have to do to be ready for the next pass, I need to update, just like I updated PV Grove Annuity, I need to update the period cash. Well, we know how that works. Whatever I have this period, I'm going to multiply with the period growth rate. We're done. You didn't think it was going to be this easy now, did you? Why? Because we use the logic of that loop. So let's give it numbers. iCash is 100. And let's assume that periodic growth rate is 1%. Okay. And let's assume I rate is 12. So in first pass, I row is 1. So I'm going to take $100. I'm going to calculate present value of $100 at 1% for 1 period. You know, that is roughly $99.09. Okay. So I'm going to add that to that. Next period, I'm going to increase the payment. Then I'm going to make Pcash $101 because my period growth rate was 1. So next time I come in, IRO is going to be 2. Okay. So I'm going to take whatever the current PV growth annuity is. No, I'm going to take $101. I'm going to discount that for 2 periods at 1%. So I'm going to get something around 99 something. Okay. In fact, growth rate is exactly 1%, so I should get exactly the same number. This time, when I'm done, I have the present value of the first 2 payments. Then I'm going to update the Pcash. You just keep doing it. We're done. So let's test it. First, let's do this for 4 years with quarterly payments. That means I have 16 of them. So my first payment is going to be $100. So let's make this 4. Let's make this 4 as well. Oh, let's put in a growth rate here. Come on. Annual growth. And let's call that 12%. Something like that. All right. So this is an example where the growth rate is actually greater than the interest rates. And I'm going to calculate period growth here. 1 plus the annual growth raised to the power 1 over I freak minus 1. And I'm going to make that Welsh Crimson percent. And let's start this with $10,000. So that's my first payment. My second payment is going to be first payment times 1 plus the period growth. I made sure that that is indeed a fixed reference because I'm going to copy this formula down. So in this case, at the end of 4 years, the last payment I'm going to get is 15,000 something. You know, things grow fast. That's 12% a year. So let's calculate its PV. I already know that PV1 works. So I'm going to use my PV1. And let's actually do this. I don't have to, but my cash is that amount. My rate is here. I'm going to hit F4 on that. I freak similarly. And I time, well, that's going to be 1 over this. Let's make that. Oops. I was not careful about making that fixed. And let's calculate the total.